good. So I'm here chatting with Brianna, and Brianna has been someone that I have been interested in for some time. I read an article this past week. It spoke to an NYU student that went out on a study abroad program and in Florence, Italy, and she hated it. So I immediately thought of Brianna, who has been with us as the 30 under 30 for a while. And I met Brianna, and I know Brianna has had her sojourn overseas. So I decided to just chat with you for you to share your experience to see if there are any similarities or differences. So I have a few questions for you, Brianna, and I'm not going to introduce you. What I'm going to do is just to go through, and once we're talking through your experiences, the audience will get to know you. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Brianna, state your name.
Oh yes, my name is Brianna Bougouneau. Happy to be doing this with you.
And I call her the bougie person. So Brianna, let me just share with you a little bit about that article. It basically said that the title of it was, it's an insider article. It says, an NYU student who studied abroad in Florence hated every aspect of her semester abroad. What she thought of as 3-day weekends are standard for NYU study abroad program. Almost everyone chose to take $20 Ryanair flights to places like Croatia, Munich, for Oktoberfest, for example. To me, that's to her, she thought that it seemed a little bit exhausting form of escapism. So she didn't like that. So this is based on that background. So she had a lot of stuff to say. And I wanted to hear from you, your experiences. So you have participated in study abroad programs. Can you share where you have been?
Yes, so I've participated in, I believe, 3, if I can remember clearly. So I've gone to Mexico for a study abroad program that was about 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
I've been to China for a study abroad program, and that was in total, it was like a 1.5 years.
Okay.
And then I went to Taiwan for, I believe it was 2.5, maybe 3 months. So I've done a couple study abroads.
Okay. So what interests you in study abroad programs?
For me, it was just, I really like how, as a young person, I feel like I have freedom when I'm abroad. Here in the States, and maybe this is because of where I live, I'm in the suburbs, but I feel like when I go abroad, I just have the freedom to go anywhere that I want to. The transportation is great. I don't have to worry about waiting on a 20-minute bus. The food is good. And I just feel like I'm growing as a person. I think every time I've finished a study abroad program, I've become a better person. And
all right, so that's good. So let me take it one step at a time. So I like talking to people like yourself, simply because I've researched the topic of success, and I always like to hear what people who are successful do, so others can follow through or follow suit or adopt some parts of it, whatever they want to do with it. So that's the reason why I wanted to chat with you. So that's what I do a lot of, interviewing people. I did it at the research level, and also now I take my time whenever I need someone, and that's outstanding to speak with them. You have been in the Ignite Caribbean 30 under 30 program, and it's because that's all young people who are really making changes out there. So I want to take you back to where you spoke about Mexico, China, and Taiwan. And I know for some other reason, I know recently you just came back from Greece. So, well, let's take them one step at a time. What did you study? And first of all, let's tell them where you are located, because you just mentioned something about, I live in the suburbs. The suburbs where?
So I'm in Virginia. I'm in Northern Virginia, and there's not a lot of big cities here. There's a lot of big suburbs.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to make that context where you are. All right. So tell us about, what did you go to Mexico to study? You don't have to get into all the details, but just to mention.
So in Mexico, I only studied Spanish while I was there because at the time, one of my majors was Spanish. So that's why I ended up going there.
So how much
and
Spanish are you now bilingual?
My Spanish is struggling right now. I wish it was better, but it was a good time then. It was a great time.
Did you learn enough?
Yes, I will say I learned enough.
But conversationally, you're able to have a conversation with
I think my hearing is better than my speaking right now because I haven't gotten a chance to practice. So I could understand.
So that's what happens when it comes back. You come back to the state, then you end up, and if you're not in that group that you can have conversations with, then it tend to get a little bit what I call rusty.
You get rusty
sometimes, but I think it's still there. Once you do that immersion, usually it works. So let's. So you went to Mexico and you did. Your study abroad was for the Spanish language. So let's jump over to China, where you spent a year and a half. You said.
In total, I went there 2 separate times for education.
So tell us about why you went there and why you went back, and then stuff. Share a little bit.
So the first time I went there was because basically in my undergrad, I met some Chinese students and I was interested in learning a second language.
Okay.
So when I went to grad school, I was really looking for programs that would allow me to go abroad while studying. And at my university, George Washington, they had a exchange program in Shanghai. So I got to go there for a semester and I studied my major, which was international affairs. And then I also took Chinese classes. So that was great. It was an awesome experience. And I loved it so much that after I graduated from grad school, I was like, how can I figure out a way to go back? So I found that China does a lot of scholarship programs. So I applied to one of their scholarship programs to learn Chinese for a year. And then that took me to a city called Chengdu. And that's all I did. I took Chinese classes and I made some really unforgettable lifelong friends, and my Chinese got better. And I was exploring all over China in that 1 year. So
yeah. So you had a great time. So you're studying, but you're also having good time. All right. So Mexico, that was Spanish. China, that was Chinese. Languages. So you're a language, what I'm going to say, expert. All right. Tell me about Taiwan.
For Taiwan, actually, this was a program that I did in between graduating from grad school and starting the 1-year Chinese language program. I was applying all the scholarships, or at least trying to. So, and this one was also fully funded, just like the one in mainland China. And I studied at a university in a city called Tainan, Taiwan. And it was really well known for its Chinese language program. So I did an intensive, it was like, I don't know, maybe 8-week program. And these two countries, they both speak the same language basically, but it's completely, the culture is even different. The food is different. Yeah.
All right. So what I want to ask is, I want to get into the food, but in a little bit. Food and the cultural experience. Now I want to hear that. What motivated you to get involved in the study abroad program? So you spoke a little bit about the languages, right? So that's what, am I correct if I say that also encouraged your participation in these programs?
Yes.
Yes.
It was a big portion of why I ended up participating.
Great. So what, if of all these experiences, what stood out most? What did you enjoy most?
I think what I really appreciate about going abroad is you have to learn how to be extremely resourceful. And especially just as a Black person, I'll just say it. You just have to learn how to take things as they come to you. You have to figure out, how am I going to, for example, how am I going to get the necessary hair products? For people who like to wear makeup, they have to figure out, where am I going to source the browns that I need for my skin? So, and then on top of that, if you're not very fluent in the language, like, okay, I can't speak some Chinese, but some things I can't understand, you really have to step out of your comfort zone and not be afraid to ask for help. I've asked random people on the street. My Chinese might not be that good, but I'll be like, excuse me, sir, can you please, do you see this? Can you please read this for me? Tell me where I need to go. I need some help. So I really liked how resourceful I became while studying abroad.
I like that. So it is, I like how you said it. You really liked how resourceful you became. It's not that you had a fear before of going, is it?
Honestly, I didn't even know what to expect. So
and that's a good thing. So when you're going with an open mind, what I'm hearing you say is, basically, I'm interpreting it to mean that an open mind also helped your pathway.
Yes.
And the lack of fear of asking questions.
Sometimes you just have to. I mean, there are moments where I was, nervous about things, but in an emergency situation, we can't be fearful. We got to get it done.
Of course. That's good. So what did you enjoy least?
Let's see. I think one of the things I don't enjoy, are you like specifically for like China or Taiwan, or just in general about?
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to say, it's fine. Just I'm open.
Well, I'll say in general, I think sometimes when you study abroad, it's hard for I will say the locals in the countries to have to be empathetic with you, or, be patient with you when you're trying to understand something or figure out something. So I just wish that not everybody's like that. I've had help from a lot of different people, but sometimes those who just don't have the patience for you, or they're not seeing where you're coming from. It's like, oh, come on, y'all, I'm struggling right now. Just go with me for a little bit. So that can be difficult sometimes, but the good for me has outweighed, some of those negative experiences or, aspects.
Okay, so let me push you a little bit further. You went to Greece recently, you just came back. Why did you go to Greece?
So I was.
And how long did you stay there as well? Because you didn't mention that one.
Oh yeah, I was in Greece from end of August until mid-December of 2022. And I went there with a university, and basically my job was to support first year freshmen. And I was basically I did resident assistant work, and then I also did created programs for students to participate in while they were studying abroad.
Okay, did you enjoy that?
Greece.
Students answer.
Greece was a very interesting country. To be honest, before going, I didn't really know that many people who've gone before. And I'm gonna just say I wish I would have done a little bit more research before I had went, because my experience, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I wished.
Okay, as you wished. So, and are you making that comment based on your experiences in the other countries?
Yeah, as compared to, I even went to a couple other countries while in Europe while I was there. I had a way better time maybe the 2 or 3 days I was in these other countries than I did in Greece, or when I studied abroad.
For example, what other countries did you go on the weekend or holiday? Or
I went to places like Spain, Portugal. I got to go to Poland. That was amazing. Belgium. Germany.
Okay.
Europe is
All
great.
right, so let's stop there. Of all these countries that you have visited, which one stands out most to you for its most positive experience, and why?
Honestly, they were all very positive. I think my favorite was probably Poland.
Okay.
I've never been to Eastern Europe before, and I went there during the winter time, so there was snow, and I was spending time with I met up with two of my very close friends, one that I met here in DC while going to school, and another one who is actually Polish while I was in China. And I don't know, like it was just fun, like exploring the city with them, and hearing Polish, trying Polish food.
Yeah.
Who goes to Poland? Like, who goes to Poland? You know, when people go to Europe, they go to France, they go to England, they go to Italy.
So I could sit and chat with you a long, long time and hear. I'd love to hear everything about all of these countries that you've been and the experiences, because what I'm hearing is some of the experiences that you've gone through. And I wanted to ask you about the challenges that you experienced from all of this, from your journeys to these countries. Mostly I'm looking at the study abroad program. What are some of the challenges? Maybe one or two.
Well, I will say, for example, with Greece, I dealt with, there was racism in Greece that I witnessed and that I also experienced myself, you know, racism, prejudice, all that.
Okay.
And it was kind of hard dealing with that because I don't think I've ever blatantly experienced it before. And so I've read about it, I've heard people talking about it, but to have to either witness it or experiencing yourself, it's completely different. And I was shocked. Not shocked about like racism is existing, but just like, y'all been doing this to me? Like, what did I do to y'all? So that was really, you know, that was a hard pill to deal with.
Yes. And I'm laughing because of the way you're expressing yourself, not because of your experience with that, because I know that's not something that is maybe pleasant for you. I've done some travels myself, and it's not the easiest thing to work with. But you got to do what you have to do, right? That's and right. You have to learn how to handle it. And as you're saying that, how did you handle it?
I know at the time, because since it was like I'm working there, so I just made sure that I let my supervisors know what was going on, because I'm aware that if this is happening to me as a person of color, then I know that it's happening to the students. And on top of that, students had told me maybe some of their experience. So I just wanted, at least for who I was working with, to be aware of what's going on in that city, so that when they bring future students over and staff over who are of color, they're more prepared. Like, make sure they know this in training, or make sure you tell these students while they're going through these orientations. So
I like your answers. That's good. Let me ask you, how old are you, if you don't mind sharing?
28, about to be 29, and
heading to the 30s, right?
I'm getting close.
30 under 30, that program. So you started traveling on the study abroad program from what age?
How old was I? It was in 2000. I think it was in 2014.
Okay. That's fine. It doesn't have to be exact, but at least it gives us an idea of your exposures that you have had. And I think it's fine. What I heard you say is, what I heard you, and I'm taking away, is your positive attitude that you've had to the different experiences. Because when you went to China, you had this experience, and you weren't afraid to ask questions and stuff like that. Am I correct? You have a positive outlook on life. So again, I'm coming back to the article that I read with the young lady who went to Florence, and she said and I hated it. Normally you hear these kids who are always traveling and they say, I loved it or this and that, but I've never heard someone just said it in bold caps that I went to Florence and I hated it. I hated it. And when everybody else is going away on weekend, she just wanted to stay. And everybody has that. I like my quiet time. I like to be, sometimes. But I'm wondering about the outlook on life, if that was it. And it's good for her to share the other negative side of it. What was your favorite food that you explored? Let's jump into food and culture.
I mean, I really like Chinese food. I'm gonna just be honest. Mainland Chinese food, like the authentic Chinese food, is extremely good. And so is Indonesian food. I didn't study abroad in Indonesia, but I have been there. Mm-hmm. Also very delicious. If you get a chance, I suggest you try.
As I said, we don't have enough time for you to get into it because I would dig deeper into all of that. But I want to know, what is your hobby?
My hobbies? Let's see. I love to go salsa and bachata dancing with my friends. Absolutely love that when we can get together. And especially in DC, there's a lot of different locations people go to, and there's a big salsa community. I also like to watch dramas. I'm really big into Asian dramas. So I watch like Thai, Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, all these different dramas. And I guess traveling. I love it.
I was waiting on that one. How can you leave that one out? So it's things that allows you to explore. You seem to also have a little bit of adventure in you as well. I hear that coming out. So all right, Brianna, it was really great chatting with you. Is there anything that you want to add, anything that you want to share?
About the article with the student, I would just like, because I actually had heard about this article, and it was shared, some of my friends shared this article with me too. And I will say that I could see where she was coming from. Like, if you're going to study abroad and you might have some expectations about how things might go, when those expectations aren't met, it is a bit of a letdown. But in her case, I would just encourage anybody who's trying to study abroad. It's not easy going to a completely different country and trying to build a community for yourself. And that's kind of what it sounded like she was lacking. Like, she said she wanted to spend time with her roommates, but it didn't work out. Then her classmates were going abroad. I mean, traveling all the time. So they were always gone. And when you study abroad or just, go abroad to work, it can be very isolating and lonely at times. And it takes work and persistence, and you have to try to stay positive, even if you're having a difficult time building those relationships. Like, I had a hard time when I first went to China, and I was like, where my friends at? I don't want to keep going to my dorm by myself. But and that went on for a couple of weeks, because sometimes you come into a situation, people already have built those friendships, they're already groups made.
Yes.
So you just have to, in my case, for example, one day I told somebody, one of my classmates, I was like, oh, I really like your shoes. Where did you get those from? There were these Chinese brand sneakers. And she was like, oh, I bought them from here. Look at this. Look at my phones. You can see on the store. This is where I bought them. That's how I built a friendship with one of my friends.
Yes.
So you just have to
be bold.
You have to be bold, and you have to be patient. And also just kind of recognize, sometimes it might not work out the way you want to, but it will eventually work out if you just keep at it. So I wish, I don't know if that's that student's case, but for anybody who wants to study abroad, just keep that in mind.
Right. I like that. So what I'm hearing is being bold, patient, and have realistic expectations, as well as you said, just keep going at it. And I call that resilience. In my research with leaders of that headed organizations, major organizations in media, communications, hospital, healthcare, stuff like that. I did that research and also published my book, Success Strategies of Caribbean American Leaders in the United States. And I looked at success that the strategies that they used to overcome some of the challenges that they had. And some of what you're saying is that being bold, being patient, the expectations that they had were not necessarily met. And that is the reality. And that's the reason I wrote the book too, because sometimes you have individuals who are migrating to the United States and they come with certain thoughts that the grass is greener and everything. And then there's a reality to the situation. So if they're not pretty open, then you get into what you call a culture shock and you can react in a different way. So that article that we're talking about is also on my blog at successfulleaders.net. And it is there for anyone who would want to read it. And I think I like the suggestions that you've made. I like talking with you. Wish we could spend some more time to get in deeper into the food and the cultural experiencing and ask you to show us some salsa and stuff like that. But with that, Brianna, I will just say that I'll keep doing what I'm doing, which is to interview persons like yourself who can help others with the journey that they're on in life to become successful, however they define it. Thank you very much, Brianna. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Bye.